This is Mary Lewis at A Tiny Homestead. The podcast's comprised entirely of conversations with homesteaders, cottage food producers, and crafters. Today I'm talking with Naomi of Gnomestead Farms LLC, where she's developing a brand new breed of rabbit called a Gnomish Giant. Good morning, Naomi.
Well, good morning.
How are you?
I am well. How are you doing?
I'm good. So tell me about Gnomestead Farms.
Well, we started out as a hobby farm doing just rabbits in an apartment back in 2015 and just kind of grew from there. We now do goats, rabbits, chickens, ducks, and kind of kittens. But mostly we focus on rabbits and goats. And we're creating a new breed of rabbits called Gnomish Giants, which is very popular in Minnesota, Iowa, Missouri, and a few other states. And they've even made their way into Canada.
Okay, so are they a blend of two different rabbits?
They started out as Silver Fox and Rex. We only are crossing now in some new color lines. But they're pretty much in the hybrid stage. We're just about finished with them. We just need to get the final coat put on. The end result is to be a Rex coat giant rabbit with the silver fox ticking, if you know what that is.
I do, yes.
Okay. And then we're going to get a satin sheen on the top of that. We want them to have really wide, tall ears. And unlike most of the rabbit body types that there are, our goal is to have what we call the bulldog of the rabbit. So we want it to be more of a boxy figure rather than the tall ball form that most of the show breeders go for, to create more of a balanced look and a balanced meat rabbit. Right now we've been getting about 7 to 8 pounds by 10 weeks, sometimes a little bit better. Some lines aren't as good. Just depends where we are in that development stage. But people are replacing their New Zealand rabbits and their California rabbits with them already. Even though they're not done, they go by their name. We make sure to tell people it's not a breed yet. We haven't announced that as being done because we still have a little bit more work to do. We're not pedigreeing them also because of that. People often say, can I have a pedigree? Well, no, it's not a breed yet. It's just a hybrid stage, but we are just really close to getting done. So that's pretty much where we're at with that right now.
And how long has it taken to get to this point?
Well, we started in 2015. So a long time. 8 years.
Yeah.
8 years. Yep. And they say a breed can take up to 20 years to complete. So we're not really in a rush. We want perfection. We want it to go well. We're not trying to create a mutt. We're trying to create a vibrant meat rabbit that has no health problems. So far we haven't had any issues with any health problems, so we feel like we're going in the right direction. They're pretty much heat tolerant. They're cold tolerant. We haven't had any real issues that we've been informed from people. We've had a lot of repeat customers that come back for, sometimes a dozen rabbits, so we had a gal that just came from Missouri. She drove 7 hours one way to come get, almost a dozen rabbits from us. People get on the waiting list for up to a year sometimes. So, yeah, it's been a really good adventure for us. We've been really happy with it.
Okay. So the breed that you're is it going to be also for showing rabbits, or is it just meat rabbits?
Well, meat and pet, we really don't have an interest in showing. It's been a big question, and there's, been some irritation on the show breeders side because they feel like if it's not registered with the show community, it's not a real breed. But that's actually not true. There are dozens of not registered breeds out there, like the Tammock, and quite a few, actually. Even some silver fox colored varieties aren't registered, and they still legitimize those. But The reason being is we've put all this work into creating our rabbit. Well, in order to be part of ARBA, you have to pay them a fee, and then you have to ask their permission to um, tell you what your rabbit should look like, basically. And then they get the copyright to your work. So um, that's pretty much where I stand on that. And I did the show thing for a while, and it was fun, but there's a lot of disease that you can bring home with it, and that happened to us after just only a year of being in the show. We did 4-H for a while, and there's a lot of fun to be had in that. There's a lot of, people like to earn those awards and stuff. It just really wasn't for us. So the meat breeding, we like to eat the rabbits, and for us, that's where it was at. We got started in rabbits because we wanted to eat the meat, create the sustainability. We got into it during that last recession, where everybody was losing their jobs. And I became disabled at that time. I had a day spa, and I lost my job, which meant my husband lost his job because we ran our day spa together. So we basically found ourselves in a position where, what do we do now? We have nothing. So we bought a few rabbits in an apartment and started raising meat rabbits to feed our 2 kids. I think my son was 5, and that would make my daughter have been around 10. So we started raising our kids. It was something kind of that I always wanted to do anyway. We learned how to eat weeds, and had been doing the herbs and things like that at my day spa. Was 100% natural. And so we were always into the nature, and my mom was a hippie and things like that. So, it was kind of already on our path. We just hadn't expanded into the meat side of things. So we got our 3 does and a buck and an apartment, and just kind of started small from there. Then we bought our house over in Hayward, Minnesota, and they call it rabbit math. Rabbit math happened.
Yes, I'm aware of rabbit math. Our rabbits failed at rabbit math.
Oh
We
no.
we we got we acquired 2 does and a buck last April. So like 2 Aprils ago.
Okay.
And one of the does got pregnant, and she gave birth in June to 9 babies. And we ended up with 4 because it was the day it was so hot last June,
Oh yeah.
and we lost 5 of the babies to the heat. And so I brought the mama and the 4 babies in and kept them in a bin on my kitchen table and changed that bin every day and prayed over those bunnies because they were awfully cute. And we did grow them out, and we did butcher them, and we screwed it up, and we didn't get a single bite of rabbit meat.
Oh no.
And then we got some more rabbits, and they did not understand that they were supposed to make baby rabbits. We bred them 4 or 5 times, nothing happened. So we're no longer in the rabbit business, but I understand what you're talking about because we studied up and tried and failed. And
Right.
I'm okay with that. It's fine.
Well, and I actually do have a group called Minnesota Meat Rabbits on Facebook, and we've been coaching rabbitry for most of the time. Well, probably the second year that we got into this, people just started reaching out to us for help. And back then we didn't know a lot, but we would, ask our mentors to help us mentor, which helped us learn really, really super fast. Things that we didn't experience, but we'd learn from other people. So I know that rabbits don't breed like rabbits.
Uh-huh.
Rabbits will eat their baby rabbits. I mean, there's all sorts of things that can go wrong, and there's so many ups and downs. And like I said, we brought home a staph infection from one of the shows that we went to and lost most of our rabbitry. People were telling us, oh, it's Pastorella, you have to kill them all, start all over, and turned out it wasn't. And even if it had been, you can treat that. They were telling us it was untreatable. We finally went to our vet and worked with a bunch of labs that specialize in rabbits, and found out that that's a myth that goes around the show community. and that every rabbit actually carries Pasteurella, carries Bordetella, carries staph infections in their nasal passages, and they only get sick when their bodies get run down. So, you need to quarantine them, just like when a person gets sick. We go stay away from each other because we have an active infection. So you do need to quarantine them while you're treating them, but you don't need to kill them. It's not an instant death kind of situation. You just go get some Baytril from your vet and give them their shots until they're well again. So we had a huge learning curve, really expensive learning curves while we were trying to create this breed, but we lost some amazing stock in the beginning, even when we decided to try to show our actual show rabbits, because we did Rex and we did Silver Fox while we were creating the hybrids to create, and so we were like, okay, well, let's show these. There were people making fun of us, saying that we were selling crossbred rabbits to 4-H people and that we didn't know what we were doing. And we never ever did that. We only sold the purebreds to the show people. So we actually decided, well, we're going to go show our rabbits, make sure we know the difference between, what people are looking for show, so that we sell properly and things like that. So we went out and did that. And we ended up taking a ton of best of breeds. Our rabbits have been to the state fair, taken home state fair championships, taken BOSVs, and so it's just been a great experience for us, to learn what the community is all about on all the sides. And it's sad that people like to badmouth each other in the community, and I think that that's a set off for people getting into the shows and stuff like that. But that's why we're kind of leaning on, we want to stay on the meat side. That community for us has been just amazing, supportive, and we like to support people. We like to build people up, teach people. We've had people over here for classes, like if they're like, we want to do this, but we're kind of squeamish and we don't know how to do this, can you help us? We'll set up a class and bring them here and just say, okay, here's what's what. We've spent days, like whole days, with just a couple of people, just kind of teaching them the ropes and letting them do it in front of us and stuff like that. So
that's gotta be so rewarding and so much fun.
yeah.
Yeah. Are your kids still at home, and are they still involved with the rabbits?
Well, our daughter is 21 now and moved out. She moved to Illinois and got engaged. She comes home twice a year and raids our rabbit freezer
Mhm.
to take home to her new family, which they absolutely love rabbit. And so she'll make them like bacon wrapped rabbit bites and different things, and takes it to parties, introduces more of the world to rabbit. And she just thinks it's fantastic. And they think it's fantastic. So that's where she is. My son is 16, still living at home, but he just started college yesterday
Uh-huh.
as a PSEO student. So he's going for culinary arts, and maybe he'll bring some rabbit deliciousness to the army, because he wants to be a army, or what was it? He wants to be a chef for the military. Um, Wants
That's
to work
fan
for the higher ups. So yeah,
that's great.
yeah, that's his
I
goal. So
love
yeah.
that. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we've covered rabbits fairly extensively in the 14 minutes we've been chatting. Um,
Sorry. Well, that's
no,
that's kind of been our outgoing passion for the most of
that's
our time. But yeah.
no, that's fine. So are there other things that you guys do? I see goatery as part of your
Yes.
name.
Yes. Yes. So after we got into our first house, we had, our intentions were to become self-sustainable. And so we had bought a few goats, only to find out that we were not zoned for goats, after all, which we had been told. So we ended up having to sell our goats, fix up that house and sell it. And then we moved here because we absolutely wanted these goats so bad. So we now have 9 goats, and they are not even close to easy, I'm telling you.
Mhm.
You think that rabbits are hard, goats are harder. But we have 9 goats. 3 of them are being milked. We sell our raw milk out here at the farm. I learned how to make soap because we had so much extra milk. We make some fresh cheeses. which we are not licensed to sell. So those are just for the family. But we sell goat meat when we have that available. We do sell the goats if we have those available. We're kind of just getting started in that. We had a rough start in the goats our first year. So turns out like things that people don't think about with goats is they need a balanced diet and balanced minerals. And sometimes the mineral you get at the store isn't good enough. So we did a lot of research. I have a certificate in nutrition also. So that came into play a lot with how we do things out here. But it turns out our well water was causing nutritional deficiencies in our goats, and we kept losing them. So we did some research and found out we had to have our mineral bar out here, which is all 20 minerals are individualized.
Mhm.
So we had another goat that was just declining, and she was down on her knees and crawling around, and we just could not figure it out. The vets couldn't figure it out. So we brought these minerals in individually, and within 3 weeks after we brought these in, she's been up and healthy ever since. Her baby's up and healthy, and we haven't had a problem since. So that's been just amazing for us. So, if anybody is listening to this podcast and they are having any issues with like declining goats and they've had them tested for Yonis or CAE or anything like that, and they're still having problems, it may not be parasites, even if you've tested for parasites and they're healthy. I would check your minerals and maybe check into getting some individual minerals for your goats because the ground that you're feeding them from, the water that you're feeding them from, it all kind of plays into that to where you might just need individual minerals that you set out in the dishes and they need to pick it themselves to be healthy. So that was something that we learned the hard way. So but now we've had just great success with that, and all of our goats are healthy and happy and making beautiful milk, beautiful goat milk soap. The meat is fabulous. I don't know if you've ever had goat meat.
Not yet. I
Not
really
yet.
would like to try, but I haven't been able to get my hands on any yet.
Okay. Well, now
But
you
I
know where.
yeah, we're looking into trying it. We've considered goats here, but we have 3 acres, and a huge amount of that 3 acres is the house, the pole barn, and the garden that we grow.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so I don't I know that goats like to have friends who are goats, and so we'd have to have more than 1 goat. And I don't have the room, nor do I have the pasture, nor do I think it would be safe because we live just off of a major road that goes from LeSueur toward Arlington. And I'm really afraid that the goats are so smart that they would figure out a way to escape and they would get hit. Because my friend in high school, her parents had goats, and that's where I learned about baby goats being the cutest thing on earth.
Hmm.
And their goats were so mischievous. They got into everything. Her dad had fantastic pens set up in the barn. He had a place for them to graze, and it seemed like they were always doing something crazy. So so I think we're just gonna stick with our chickens and our dog and our barn cats because at least then I know what's happening with my critters, for the most part anyway.
Sure, sure.
I'm really glad that you brought up the nutritional issues you were having with the mama goat because part of the reason I want to do this podcast for people is we all know things that other people haven't figured out yet, or we don't know things that other people have figured out yet. And so I want to share other people's stories of how they're doing it so that if somebody is getting into goats or rabbits or cows or horses, they can learn something from listening to this podcast.
Yes, sure.
So, yeah, that's part of the reason I'm starting this. And I've talked to a couple people so far, and I have learned things already that I had no idea about. And we're homesteaders here.
Okay.
We are more on the agricultural side. We grow a huge vegetable garden, and we have apple trees, cherry trees, and peach trees. And that the cherries and the peaches are new. We just bought those this spring.
Hmm.
And so we're hoping that within 4 years, we will be able to sell cherries, peaches, and apples. Right now, 2 of our apple trees that we put in back in October of 2020, so a couple months after we moved here. We have apples on those trees for the first time, and I'm so excited. I can't wait to make an apple crisp out of the, 20 we're probably gonna get 25 good apples from the 2 trees because 'cause they're young.
Hmm.
But so excited to see those baby apples this spring. I almost cried.
You
I was
know,
like,
I
"It
I can
worked."
relate. Our apple tree we got with the house, it's finally got apples on it too. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's just been bad.
Mhm. Yes, this summer has been horrific for growing anything unless you can water every single night.
Yeah.
It's been miserable, and today and tomorrow are gonna be even worse, so
Hmm.
I don't know what happened to beautiful farmland Minnesota, but it's not quite as easy as it used to be.
No. Yeah, we just bought electric fences. They're portable, and so our pastures, we have two rotational pastures on our 5 acres for the boy goats, and the girl goats they eat alfalfa hay and grain, because they're milking and stuff. So we rotate the boys outside, and then the girls, they eat pretty rich food to
Mhm.
keep their milk production up. But the electric fence, we have to just keep moving it around because nothing's growing fast enough to keep them in those pastures. So we had to buy these new fences to get them out into the other, you know the rest of the 5 acres to eat the weeds that are, just kind of sitting there that they couldn't reach before. And it's I don't know, we need some rain.
So we really need some rain, and the weeds seem to be doing great. Our garden is full of weeds.
Yeah. Well, and
It's
goats, that's more
ridiculous.
what they eat anyway. Is they prefer the weeds and the tree branches and that kind of stuff. So it's good that they can get out and do that. But yeah, they ate everything down that they wanted to eat in those pastures many times over. So we were just like, well, now what do we do? So we were going to build another pasture, and we are like, well, wait, why don't we just get one of these movable ones, and then they can just kind of go down one side, go down the other side, and then maybe by then they can start over.
Yep, rotational grazing at its best.
Yep, yep.
So I don't want to run out of time, so I need to ask you, how did you come up with Gnomestead Farms as your name?
Okay. Well, my name is Naomi, and
Mhm.
as a child, my little brother called me Gnome. That nickname stuck in college. Everybody was like, "Oh, what's your nickname?" And so I would tell them, and ended up nobody even knew I had a real name. The first guy who sold me a car in college sold it under Gnome Thompson. And I was telling him, that's not my real name. You can't put that on the title. He goes, no, it's fine. It's fine. And somehow it ended up on the title. And um, even my family, my in-laws, they still call me Gnome. So for most of my life, I have been Gnome, and so we named Gnomestead after me.
Cute. So do you guys have a logo with a gnome?
Yes, our logo has a gnome, a goat, a rabbit, chicken, and duck. And we do have a sign that is going out at some point, that's made out of wrought iron, that'll be at the front of our farm as well. So
Adorable. I love that.
thank you.
Our farm name is a tiny homestead, and it was named that before we even knew we were going to be living here. We lived in town in an 850 square foot house with a postage stamp sized backyard and a 4-car garage behind the backyard. And we started growing veggies to feed our kids in that little tiny backyard.
Aw.
And and then we had the chance to grow a garden on friends' land that was they had 24 acres. So they let us pick a spot to grow a garden, and I needed a name. So I was like, well, our house is tiny. We're practicing homestead skills. Let's go with a tiny homestead.
There you go.
And then we ended up moving here in 2020, and we now have a little over 3 acres. So it's not quite as tiny, but it's not a big farm. So I figure it still is applicable, I think.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And our logo is a line drawing of a farmhouse with a, oh, I can't think of the name of it now. the circle that shows north, south, east, west, a
Compass.
compass sign as the vent on the side of the little farmhouse because this is home. And it has, I think it has two small potted plants and a couple chickens down along the base of the house. That's our logo.
Oh, fantastic.
So, yeah, it's been really fun, and in talking with other people who are doing things like we're doing and like you're doing, the things that keep coming up is it's a lot of work,
Yes.
but it is fun and it is satisfying and it is, I don't know, heart lifting. It's really good for your spirit, your soul.
Yep. As long as when you're training your livestock dogs, you don't eat too many chickens.
Yes, that too. Our dog never goes near our chickens because they are away from her.
We just got a new 4-month-old puppy that we're training in, so
Mhm.
yep.
Yeah. Our dog is 3. She's an Australian Shepherd. She would love to herd the chickens, but when we introduced her to them, when she was about 2.5 months old, 3 months old, we introduced her to them by her being outside the chicken run, and
Hmm.
she would see where they were in the run, and she would run around to where they were, but she couldn't get to them. They would run the opposite direction. She would run all the way around the run to get to the other side where they were gonna be, and she just exhausted herself every time that we did it, so we just used it as exercise for her.
Oh, there you go.
Because I was afraid she would eat them by accident, like, kill them by accident, and we really wanted to have eggs, so we wanted our chickens to stay alive.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So, um, so what's the best thing that's happened to you in your homesteading adventures?
Hmm. I think all the people that I meet, because my life has been trying to make people smile and make people happy. And when I was no longer able to do that in my day spa, I lost something. I lost a piece of myself. And so trying to find something that I could do again to bring joy to people, um, this has pretty much been that for me. So when people come and they get their milk or they get their eggs or their rabbits or whatever, and I get to see them leave happy, that is what life is to me, is making other people happy.
Well, then you have accomplished your goal and then some.
Yeah,
That's great. All right. Well, I only needed about half an hour and we have that. I really, really appreciate you talking with me. When I put the call out for people to interview, I thought maybe a couple people would answer me. And I have over 40 people who are willing to chat with me. It's going to be so much fun and I'm very new at this. So I'm learning as I go. And anyone who's willing to take a chance and chat with me, I really, really appreciate it.
absolutely. Yeah, if you need anything else, don't hesitate to reach out to me.
All right. You have a great day. Thank you.
You as well.
All
Bye
right.
bye.
Bye.